Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. I'm here with Robert. I'm Carmen. And today we want to show you how agencies are able to scale efficiently and easily without having to add more people and increasing the cost for it.
Yes.
So we are going to go into some inspirational topics and main pain points that we typically see with the agencies that we talk. And then we are going to go into more a practical setting where we actually see this happening and how you can do it in life. So by the end of the session, there will be also a short Q&A session. So if you have any questions during the webinar or at the end, you can always use the chat. You should see it at the bottom, I think. If we don't have time to answer all the questions or there is something that we want to tackle one-on-one, we will just contact you later or tomorrow, but no worries. And then we will also send the recording. So the whole webinar is being recorded, so you can rewatch it later as well.
Yeah.
Good? Ready to start?
Ready to get started. Absolutely. I'm going to take you through 3 steps, I guess. 2 topics around the current situation. One connected to AI, one connected to AI, but especially also the day-to-day impact that you see at agencies that we typically see also recently published in a research. And then we're going to dive into a couple of existing bottlenecks that we see coming from our customers on a daily or weekly basis if we speak to them, of course, before the use of the StoryChief platform, and typically leading to the reasons why they are making a step towards adopting a CMP in this case. The first one is the AI shift in content marketing. We all know that the era of, let's say, billing words produced is over, right? It's been evaporated. And frankly, we think that that is a very healthy development that has happened. Agencies that continue to bill for manual executions are also in the race to the bottom. The industry is maturing from growth content factories into growth architects in that process. And what we're seeing is the shift from how much in terms of production to how well, which actually measures impact and strategy. And the research supports that this identifies a widening gap between intelligence. While LLMs can now actually take over more than 40% of the execution work previously done by people in agencies, they currently remain incapable of the high-value strategic work that brands are now currently prioritizing. And the future of those human-led agencies lie in strategic positioning and narratives, in data interpretation, in thought leadership and expression around that and choosing the right channels, and of course in maintaining tone of voice and brand DNA. And we actually also see this in the one-to-one core scaling bottlenecks that we will typically go over 2 slides from here, where that customers face when they aren't using a CMP like StoryChief. The second component of the current situation really taps into price and, so the next slide, please.
Sorry.
No worries. The roles and pricing of an agency. AI has really shifted that. And what you typically see is that a traditional content writer from the past, a commodity content writer, and the tariffs around that have plummeted by 43%, and the impact as well. And what you actually see is that new roles are arriving. The AI specialist or the GEO and SEO demand specialist are coming up. And where you see a plummet in the direction of traditional content writing, where there you see an increase actually at the same time of agencies that have embedded AI into the day-to-day of their work. And not only for content generation or writing, but also for workflows. And they actually see up to 60% higher margins in their businesses in return. So that's a huge step there. So where does that leave StoryChief? For the ones who do not know us, StoryChief is what you call a CMP, a content marketing platform. And amongst the other things that we do, we mainly help agencies scale their content collaboration, their approval flows with clients. We typically take a very important role into that workflow that they have, into that content factory that they are. Of course, AI plays a vital role. In the past 2 to 3 years, we have embedded more and more AI capabilities. And actually, that's the main reason we are talking to you today, to really showcase the impact of an integrated workflows, including also AI operations in there. And what you will typically see is how you can go in a CMP from research to strategy to actual asset creation to visual workspace to collaboration with customers, approval flows, and in the end, even distribution and analytics, all in a single source of truth. And typically our customers see that they do up to 3 times faster content generation. They have up to 70% lower production cost when it comes to that. And they actually see about 25% increase. And that's what you call compound impact, really leveraging AI, workflow, automation, without the need of scaling your resources whilst having the opportunity to scale multiple customers and more customers at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 8 scaling bottlenecks that agencies keep hitting. Over the past 2 years alone, we've onboarded more than 100 agency customers. And what we typically see is that scaling bottlenecks can be overcome if you manage like 5 or 7 or 8 customers at the same time, which is a beautiful boutique agency, but then the processes manually are pretty manageable in that case. But how about if you manage 50 or 50 or 75 or 125? And I think one of our largest customers actually manages more than 200 customers at the same time. Then those bottlenecks really become impactful because hiring more and more people in the current stage of time is absolutely not done. And recently we did actually a deep dive into the primary scaling bottlenecks that our customers and agency prospects keep hitting when it comes to content marketing and its core processes. And often they are leading to the reason to start working and adopt a CMP. And the first one, thank you, Carmen, is having price pressure from a cost-conscious customer database. Budgets for marketing are scarce. And if I look back into my career, budgets never increased, maybe in absolute numbers, but never percentually, right? They always decreased. So especially with AI content generation at the tip of the finger of every marketeer, we've seen that the impact of valuing content creation in daily practice is really, really important. And as mentioned in the previous slide, the market value of commodity content has plummeted by 43%. So it is something that's really challenging prospects and customers all over the place.
It is.
Then proving controls to clients, which might seem an odd one out, but in the core of your process, you need an adequate, centralized, and streamlined communication with your customers about the deliverable that you are creating. And often that happens scattered across channels, mostly leaving it not being a repeatable process because each individual content marketer actually applies their own process and their own communication channels with their customers. So from our experience and the service experience that you want to bring to your customers, if you take control, they will absolutely be happy to comply because it shows that you are organized and that you are structured and that will create trust and especially also longevity in that process. Then the third topic is consistency of SEO, GEO, and AEO, or how you would like to call AI search or AI findability. When ChatGPT was released back in 2023, we were nowhere near understanding what the impact would be, right? The game of findability being mentioned both now in Google, in its AI summaries, and also in the first 3, 4, 5 lists of recommendations of all LLMs is crucial. And just tapping into your SEO platform, doing some keyword research and building on top is no longer sufficient. You really need a structure, more structure, connection with the internal, external pieces, relation to it, recommendations, and also constant adaptation to the change that is happening on all those sources, which is a really big bottleneck that we typically see coming back in our conversations often more and more. Yeah. The fourth component, fragmented tools and platforms. This is one from the books, I guess. Content marketing is so much more than just writing a solid piece of text, right? It requires research, planning, alignment, brand alignment. Okay, what's the impact going to be? How are we going to address pain points? Which channels are we going to use? So if you would now apply that in your mind and determine for yourself, okay, how is this organized for us? And actually, how do we apply that in terms of tools and consistently, then probably it's scattered across individual hard drives, Google and OneDrives. That's what we typically see at our customers, which is the main feedback still. And we see agencies losing up to 30% of their time due to not being centrally organized and therefore not being in control. Also relating back to the second topic. We speak to prospects and customers daily previous to using a CMP who had been using 2 project management systems at the same time or had been using 7, 8, 9 different tools across their process, but all independently from one another, which increasingly confused the alignment. Then centralizing content operations. Meaning collaboration workflows, approval workflows. They are one of the most mentioned challenges that our customers bring. It's a struggle. It takes too long, sometimes up to 50% longer compared to what we see back in the StoryChief platform. And customer replies then over email rather than in text, or approvals are multi-level, so they can really not track and trace where something is getting stuck. And on top, there's the actual final element of control, which is distribution. 80% of prospects and customers prior to using us as a platform did this manually by simply copy and pasting or hiring virtual assistants to do it manually for them. And actually integration should be one of the easiest activities to accommodate and to automate in the process. Then maintaining brand voice. and brand style. Also relating back to one of the first slides, consistency is key. It's a vital element of brand marketing, and maintaining brand goes hand in hand with recognizability, impact, and awareness. And creating that content across 3 or 4 channels really requires a solid alignment on making sure that you're on track with everything that your brand needs. And having that scattered across different tools, different individuals, and not centrally available, maybe not even stored inside a GPT or something like that, is really impact that we see on a daily basis. And then there's 2 actually related to AI, also to make the transition to you way easier. The first is using AI only for asset creation, which actually brings us back to the introduction of AI back in 2023 and 2024. But if you currently haven't evolved to really use AI and making it an integral part of your workflow, then probably your competition are just not catching up, but they're probably also outperforming. And that's typically what we see in the conversations, that they want to align and centralize and really utilize the knowledge that they have already built. And then the last one is AI outputs are scattered across prompts, right? It relates a bit to the 7th element, but what we typically see is that each project or each new content piece actually starts from scratch, and each starts with an independent chat. So if you create a long form article, they create a new chat. If they create a social piece, they create a new chat, and they don't relate it to one another, whilst there's so much value in keeping that aligned. And I think those are the 8 components that we see back almost on a daily basis. Of course, we don't need to tell where they can solve that, but typically this is something really valuable and repeatable, and which we love to solve. And that's actually where you come in.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. I think that was really inspiring for me, for all of you probably as well. And it brings us to basically the last topic of the webinar today, right? Which is a practical business case. So we have lots of agencies working on StoryShift, and some of them are actually really able to grow, and they are growing even more efficient and faster with the recent additions that we've brought into StoryShift account. So we have actually an agency that grew from about 30 clients to 150, which is an incredible increase without having to increase the cost or the headcount necessarily. So we see that by adding this layer, so how did they achieve this, right? They added this layer of StoryShift, and they align their workflows, they align their team, and they align their clients into it. And they basically started to check all the bottlenecks that you were talking before. And they were able to do that. So they could do that for 1 client, but also for 10, for 50, and for hundreds. And that's actually how they solved it. So it's in their case, is 67 less administration, but also less revisions and less back and forth with emails and calls and chats, faster approvals in this case, because basically everything is aligned in one workflow. So everyone knows what to expect, what to receive, and what to do, and they keep rolling the ball, as I like to say. And they keep on producing all this content with a really defined strategy and with a really creativity process behind it.
And the number of customers show that the impact of the content, right, the quality output is really important as well, and it's there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to show you how does this work in practical, right? So probably this is what you are also willing to see today. So I'm going to give you a short demo about this later layer that we've added to StoryShift. But I want to give a very short context on our AI agent. We call him William. And back then in 2023, beginning of 2024, when all these LLM models and AI started to be achievable for us, we basically built William and we let him create content. And back then it was almost a magical process, right? He was able to create lots of articles and socials and really, break with this inspiration block that some of us had, and it was great. But then the AI and the LLMs started to evolve as well. So we also let William evolve, and we gave him new capabilities. So we actually let him also optimize that content. So we let him optimize the content for SEO, for GEO, which was a new term as well. So that's something that to this day, William does very well as well. But now we actually realize that we can tackle other previous problems. So we don't only need or want William to create content, but we want him to help us with the strategy, with the deep research, with the deep keyword research and all these technicalities that every single marketer finds it hard to keep up with, as all these terms and all these trends are changing as well, right? So we let William do all these technicalities and all this difficult work, and we actually can spend time on creativity, creation, talking to the client, having a good relationship with the client, building a strong relationship in there. So this actually also gets back to all these bottlenecks, and we start checking all the boxes. So let's take a look at how does this work on StoryShift itself, right? So this is a new layer. So this is AI William. He's a marketing operations manager. And this little box is going to do it everything for you, right? So you can ask him anything that you need, but you can also use one of the predefined prompts as well that can help you, to get started with. In my case, I've done my homework and I've had some pre-made prompts that I've done earlier today and yesterday to show you what it looks like, right? So one of them is actually conducting the keyword research for a specific topic. So let's say I'm an agency and I'm in one of my clients' workspaces, which is all plumbing services, right? So I have all my clients in here, and for each of them, I have a dedicated William who already knows who this client is, the industry, the competitors, their tone of voice, and all of that. So for this specific client, I asked William to do this keyword research. And so here on the left-hand side, I find the conversation that I have with William with my original question. I see all his analysis, all his research. And he asked me if I wanted him to create some specific articles around it. So I said, yeah, go ahead, because I also want you to help me with the creation process. And so I can keep asking him anything, right? I have the chat box in there where I can keep talking to him. But the cool part is this visual canvas on the right-hand side. So here I have the outline of my keyword research. So I have all the information that I need to actually have a good keyword research. So I can let him do it. But for me, it's also a learning process to know what he's done and why he's done that and what are his recommendations. So I can save this easily as a task or as an editorial brief, for example. And I can also share the whole canvas with everyone, right? So not only the team who is actually going to take action on this, but I also can share the whole canvas with the client. So I have here the share button at the top left, where I can enable the public link, and they can see exactly the same as you are seeing as well right now. So in this specific case, he did this keyword research. So I have the outline. He also created an image, and I also asked him to create this article, which I can also save as an article itself. And it will go into my draft articles overview. And I have everything that I need in here, right? He has written the full article, including the excerpt, the SEO keyword, the meta description, and everything. And this will also go automatically into the article settings. So this is a great place where I can see a full overview while letting the client also review on this, letting my team review on this. And that's when I start tackling all these bottlenecks, right? Because I have a centralization. I give enough tools and resources to my team, but also to my client. I prove control. I give them, the authority that they are expecting from me. But I'm also aligning all these brand voices and all this context in one place. I'm also proving a consistency in SEO, GEO. So I'm following the same workflow in there. What else am I doing?
History.
I'm maintaining a history, because if I go back to the chat box, let's say, I have all my prompts in there. I can go back to any of them and I can keep working on them. So I keep all centralized in one place where this is very easy to scale, right? Because I can do the same for each of my clients. So I'm doing this for this client today at this moment, but within 20 minutes, I can go to another of my clients and do the same process. So something else that I want to show you, for example, is this full content campaign, right? So I asked William to create a full content campaign for this client based on the topic drain cleaning tips before summer usage. So summer is around the corner, and I want to create some top of mind content and also stay, with the season as well. So on my left, again, I have the full conversation. I have everything that he's doing for me. I also asked him to create a social post specifically for Pinterest on top of the others, because I want to put this on my Pinterest on the client channel as well. So in this case, I have 4 images. I have also a full outline with everything that my campaign needs. So also the week content calendar and everything else that I need. I have also a full landing page that I can actually directly export in HTML. So I can also report it back into my website, and it includes all my guidelines, my layouts, and my style. And again, some articles and some socials as well. So for each social, I also have an image. And as I mentioned before, I can easily save this into my account. So I'm reverting back to keeping an overview and a centralization of all of this. Something, I would say, a personal tip that I would give is, once you create a campaign, like this is the case, I would also create a campaign on StoryShift on the campaigns overview, right? So if you know StoryShift, you know there is a campaign folder for that. So I can go into my campaigns, and this is the one I created. And so all the content, all the assets that I saved from the canvas into StoryShift are here as well. So I have my newsletter, I have my social posts, I have my articles. All of them are gathered into the same view. And I also get a calendar from this. So you see, this is my calendar, and I have everything in yellow is this campaign that I was telling you about. So I have all my assets in there. I can also see the status, draft, scheduled, published. I can see the evolution, and everyone within this workspace can also see the same. So we are aligned, and we are all keeping the same context, and we know at what stage we are at every moment. And if you even want to take a step further, you can even also share this calendar with your client. So next to sharing the canvas, which is a great initial overview and an initial planning, you can also actually give him a preview of every single asset, whether these are socials or articles or even the newsletter. So you can just enable the share link, and you can give a full overview of this calendar to your clients so that they actually see the process and they see what is going on and how well the campaign is progressing. So I think this all reflects back to the pain points that you mentioned before. And that's how you actually scale. And that's how we see agencies scaling. Because if you can do this for this client, you can do this for 10 other clients within 1 day, within 1 week. So you take the pace, but it is very easy to reproduce across all your clients. So we think this is a great asset, and we see the differences, right? So seeing William from just creating content, which was great, we cannot take any credit away, but now he's actually doing the full keyword, the full project, content, full content campaigns. This is a game changer.
And it's a beautiful combination, right? Prior to AI being there, workflow was key. But AI didn't take workflow challenges away. It's just a matter of combining them in an ultimate way. And I think that's actually what we prove here, and actually what our customers see, and also the people and prospects that we engage with see on a daily basis. Those 8 pain points are real life. And yeah, I think seeing this, enabling this really proves a way forward.
Yeah, totally agree.
Thanks for attending. We hope it's relatable. If you have the challenges that we brought, the bottlenecks, and you're looking for a single source of truth for AI connected to your workflow to really be representable to your customers, contact us. And thanks to attend.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.